You have to remember that the Wyandanch School District receives more state aid per student than any other school district on Long Island through the formula. And they receive more non-formula aid, special grants and the like, than any other district on Long Island except Roosevelt. So it's not always a money issue. You know, right now, because they have had problems in the past, I think maybe they need a little extra boost to get them back to where arguably they should have been all along. Excuse me. So, you know, I do make that argument to people, and that is recognized. But once they're established in that way, with the state aid that they get, they should be able to do, you know, as well as any other district. Let's say that. Money-wise, the other factor, of course, is the community support, and community concern and community vigilance has to continue to be there. And you know, that's the other important part of the whole process. The community, nobody else can do that for them. They have to do that themselves, and they're doing that now too. Yeah. And then that's a very healthy thing. Okay. Well, cuts of any kind at this point are not going to be helpful to them, clearly. I mean, they're trying to get on their feet, and they've been doing, you know, a good job of it in recent years. I will say, to the governor's credit, that when he proposed his budget, the way he proposed cuts in aid to education, they were fashioned in a way that lower wealth districts did not take as big a percentage cut as higher wealth districts, which is a good thing, and not something that governors have routinely done in the past. Usually it's pretty much across the board. Everybody gets treated the same way. At least this Governor Patterson, has recognized that there are differences, and that if there's going to be some pain, that those who are better able to afford it should perhaps absorb a little bit more than those who can't. So that's a good thing. We're starting off in a little bit better place than we otherwise might have with a district like Wyandanch. And to the extent that we can make any restorations, and it's not clear to me yet that we can, I would hope that we make those restorations in the same way, that lower wealth districts would get a bigger piece of the pie, so to speak, than those districts that are wealthy. And but we have to see how that plays out and whether we can do restorations at all. That's not for certain at this point. I've certainly spoken to folks at the Wyandanch School District. You know, we talk about what their concerns are about the budget. Obviously, no cut is a good cut for them. They do recognize that they're being treated a little bit differently, a little bit better than some other districts are, and they feel that they could live with it if they have to, not that they want to. Last year, we were able to make restorations to Wyandanch and other districts, and then I was able to get them about $1.5 million on top of that, which obviously has been a benefit to them. Yeah. I don't know if I can do that this year either, given the way that things are. But Wyandanch has really been doing a great job of, as I said, of you know, getting on their feet and trying to make things better for the district, for their students. I think they are making progress, but any cut to them is clearly an impediment to that progress. And so all the more important that with a district like Wyandanch especially, we do the best we can to see that they don't take those kind of cuts and that they can continue to make the progress we want them to make.
Absolutely. And would you say that a district like Wyandanch, you know, just across the board, would you say that they're at a disadvantage simply because, you know, they don't get as much of the property tax income as their neighbors, and therefore, you know, they don't have those resources to dig into in order to try to close the gap in any way?
Well, if you compare Wyandanch and Half Hollow Hills, for example, and their sources of revenue, Wyandanch probably gets about 70% of their budget from state aid. And Half Hollow Hills, I'm guessing, is probably somewhere closer to 10%. So right there you can see the difference. And you know, you give Half Hollow Hills credit. They have a good system. They do a great job. They're willing to pay for it and able to pay for it. You know, Wyandanch is much more heavily dependent on state aid. So when there are cuts in state aid, it has a dramatic impact on them. And it's very tough for them to make it up in the community. The community's been very good, especially in recent years, They have approved tax increases because they see improvements and they want to support that. But there's a limit to it. You know, you can only tax them so much. And so that's another reason for trying to be as supportive as we can with state aid for a district like Wyandanch. But one of the ways in which they have gotten better, I think, is in recognizing those difficulties, in trying to be more accountable, in being more publicly accountable, and more transparent. You know, they've taken a number of actions that make everybody, and I hear this especially from the state education department, feel a lot more comfortable with where the district is and what they're doing right now than, you know, they were some number of years ago. So I think everyone's more comfortable about what's going on there and the way things are going on there, and how the resources are being utilized, you know, and that they are being utilized to the benefit of the students. So that's helpful. It's helpful to me when I advocate for more money for them, especially if it's outside of the formula, like the $1.5 million I got for them last year. I can say, well, look at the progress they're making, and look how the state education department and our regent from Long Island, Roger Tillis, and how everybody is being very supportive of what the district is doing, because they are working with everybody. They are being very accountable, they're being very open about everything they're doing and everything that's going on, and people feel a lot more comfortable about that. In the past, it has been an issue. It's been more difficult. And quite frankly, in my own mind, sometimes it's hard to rationalize getting more money if you're just really not sure that it's going to go where it can have the best result for the students. So that's changed to a large extent, and that's better for everyone and a little easier for me to make the case on behalf of the district.